Hello and welcome to another ConnectedMinds.ai podcast. I hope all of you are doing well. For today's podcast, I wanted to talk about boundaries and why setting boundaries is important in relationships. Let's begin by understanding what boundaries are. I would define boundaries as how close we let people get to us emotionally. By setting boundaries, we let a person in the relationship know what we are okay with and what we are not okay with. So, boundaries are the line we draw in all our relationships. They play a critical role in establishing safety and trust between two people and protecting our well-being. Imagine not setting any boundaries and not honoring your needs or limitations with your partner, and then feeling uncomfortable or unfulfilled in the relationship later. Setting boundaries is not just about you, but also honoring your partner. By clearly communicating boundaries and the consequences of breaking them, you make sure your partner understands your expectations. They will also help stop a bad situation from becoming worse, as you will be able to take action at an early stage and not feel overwhelmed. Having healthy boundaries with people means you accept responsibility for your feelings and actions and refuse to accept responsibility for the other person's feelings and actions. Having boundaries doesn't make you selfish, but it means you love yourself and are true to yourself. And obviously it works both ways. How would you want someone to respect your boundaries? You will have to respect the other person's boundaries. While it is important to have boundaries set in all relationships, setting boundaries in romantic relationships is important. When you set boundaries with your partner, you harbor a mutually appropriate, respectful, and caring relationship. It enables partners to consider each other's feelings, seek permission from one another, and be grateful. It helps partners acknowledge different opinions, ideas, and perspectives. It forms a sound basis in the early relationship and fosters strong emotional intimacy between partners. Setting up healthy boundaries also reduces the chance of partners fighting or even wanting to break up. It eliminates the blame from relationships, as boundaries leaves no room for deflecting the ownership of a problem. When two people start going out, the boundaries usually dissolve in the early infatuation phase. During this phase, the lovers lose their identity and merge, and it's all right, as even this plays an important role to form attachment and build a bond. Just like any relationship, the quarrels pick up, and that's when the partners realize the importance of forming boundaries and keeping the relationship from falling apart. Therefore, a couple needs to acknowledge each other as separate individuals and not just accept, but respect their partner's boundaries, wants, and goals. Now that we know why setting boundaries in relationships are important, I wanted to also talk about emotional boundaries and why they are fundamental to the success of a relationship. Out of the 4 boundaries, emotional, mental, physical, and materialistic, emotional boundaries are the most important. They are basically you separating your feelings from those of your partner. Your feelings should not be dependent on your partner's thoughts, feelings, and moods. You need to take custody of your feelings without taking on your partner's feelings. Your responsibility towards your partner is how you treat them, and not to carry the weight of their feelings. Similarly, your partner will make their choices about how they feel and are the only ones responsible for them. Let's look at some examples of what healthy boundaries in relationships look like. So, in healthy relationships, both partners ask for permission, take one another's feelings into account, show gratitude to one another, are honest with each other, give space to the other person for autonomy and avoid codependency, respect their partner's opinion, perspectives, and feelings, take full responsibility for their actions. That was all for today. In the next podcast, I will talk about the different kinds of boundaries and how to set healthy boundaries in relationships. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. See you in my other podcast.